Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Emergency Committee, which has been convened to consider matters that relate to the Council's response to the coronavirus. Whilst members are joining the meeting virtually, they are able to fully participate and vote on matters for consideration. The meeting is being live streamed. Before we consider the business of today's agenda, I'll ask all members of the committee present to introduce themselves. I'm Councillor Maria Crompton, Deputy Leader and Chair of this committee. Councillor Ali.
Councillor Ali, Vice Chair of the Emergency Committee.
Councillor Millard.
Councillor Danny Millard, I'm Cabinet Member for Inclusive Economic Growth.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Paul Moore, Councillor for Hatley Heath, Member of the Committee.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Shaheen.
Councillor Farah Shaheen, Cabinet Member for Living Healthy Lives.
Thank you. Okay, apologies. Do we have any apologies, David?
Not received any apologies, Chair.
Okay, members to declare any interest to be discussed at the meeting. Does any member have any interest to declare? No? Okay. Right, then we'll move on to the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 30th of September and on the 9th of October. I move those as a correct record. Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, happy to second those minutes.
Lovely, thank you very much, Councillor Ali. Those minutes are approved. Are they approved, committee? Are we happy?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Lovely, thank you very much. Additional items of business. I'm not aware of any additional items of business, so we'll move on to agenda item 5. I'm lost in my little, which is gone. Okay, we'll worry about that in a minute. Agenda item 5. Can I ask the interim regional and growth, regeneration and growth, I'm not reading right today, am I, to present the report, please? I think, what am you doing this, or is you starting and Tammy continuing?
No, unless Tammy wants to come in, I'm introducing the report and talking on the report.
Okay, lovely, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Chair. So in September and October, the government launched a series of support grants for businesses affected by COVID-19, local and national restrictions. There are 5 grant schemes in total. 3 of the schemes support specific business types, which are either legally required to close due to local and national restrictions, or to close due to local and national restrictions, or which have been remained open but have been severely impacted by the restrictions. A 4th scheme was announced recently due to the national lockdown, which supports businesses in non-essential retail, leisure, personal care, support facilities and hospitality businesses. And lastly, a discretionary scheme called the Additional Restrictions Grant has been launched. One-off funding of just over £6.5 million has been made available to Sandor for the scheme. We can use this funding during 2020-2021 and 2021-2022 financial years. Sandor has now developed a discretionary policy outlining how we intend to operate the scheme. The policy confirms that the funding will primarily be used to provide discretionary grants to 1, businesses who have not been legally forced to close but have been severely impacted by the restrictions put in place, for example, supply chain businesses. Number 2, businesses not on the rating list, such as businesses who lease part of accommodation from another business. Grants amounts awarded will be in line with other grant schemes. However, discretionary schemes can also be used for wider business support activities and to support businesses who are important to the local economy. Given these provisions, some funding can be used for strategic business support activities. This could include, for example, support to assist local businesses to improve their digital platforms and remain competitive in the market. Therefore, the scope of this scheme is much wider than the previous discretionary scheme, and the policy has been worded to include these new provisions. I therefore propose that this committee, number 1, agrees the Additional Restrictions Grant Policy with immediate effect, and number 2, delegates the file to the Chief Executive in consultation with the Section 151 officer and the Cabinet Member for Resources and Core Services to make such amendments to the policy as are deemed necessary to effectively achieve the aims and objectives of the Additional Restrictions Grant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Ali. Tammy, did you want to add anything to that at all?
No, I don't think so, Deputy Leader. I think Councillor Ali has covered off the main points. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you very much. In that case, can I ask if members have any questions to ask or issues they would wish to raise? No? Okay.
Chair, just very quickly,
Yes.
just in a meaning of a comment, I mean, I think it's really important that we put on the record that having learned from the first COVID-19 lockdown and how businesses were essentially let down in many respects, I'm really pleased to see that this policy and the work that the officers have been doing in line with, listen to our business community and having a policy in place now that supports all businesses, or as much businesses that we can support during this next period. And obviously we know this is a very difficult period for them, but I'm very proud that this council has taken the initiative to support the businesses that were left out behind during the first lockdown. And now we've got something in place that will hopefully support not all businesses, but as many as we can get through to. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Ali. I do believe that we're allowed a little more discretion this time, which is always very helpful, isn't it? Okay then, so we'll move on now to are the recommendations approved? I will hand over to the Chief Executive to call for the vote.
Thank you. Councillor Crumpton, for, against or abstain.
For.
Councillor Ali, for, against or abstain.
All.
Councillor Millard, for, against or abstain.
For.
Councillor Moore, for, against or abstain. For. Councillor Shaheen, for, against or abstain. That's unanimous, Chair.
Lovely, thank you. Everyone is in favour, therefore the report is approved. If we now move on to agenda item 6, which is the Sandwell Equalities Commission and Diversity and Inclusion Plan. Can I ask the Cabinet Member for Community Engagement, Councillor Padder, to present this report, please?
Thanks, Deputy Leader. This report seeks approval to agree the Council's approach to tackling inequalities and discrimination across the Council and the wide region through establishing the Sandwell Equalities Commission and the Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan. Appendix 1 set out the terms of reference for the Sandwell Equalities Commission, and Appendix 2 sets out Workforce Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan. Equality, diversity and inclusion continues to remain a key priority for the Council, and this has been made even more evident by the Me Too challenge and Black Lives Matter movement that demonstrated some of the inequalities in our society. These issues have been further exacerbated and laid bare by the pandemic, starkly highlighting the socio-economic crisis as well as the injustice and discrimination that persists today. As a Council, we have a duty to respond to these challenges. Sandwell Council is committed to driving improvement with regards to the Equalities Agenda, which is underpinned by the Equality Act 2010 and the Public Sector Equality Duty. However, simply meeting the duty alone is insufficient to address the issue our communities are facing today. The proposals in the report challenge the Council to go beyond our immediate statutory obligations in order to identify and dismantle the structures that discriminate against or limit opportunities for too many of our residents due to the protective characteristics. Over the past 2 decades, Sandwell has become more ethnically diverse with the rich cultural and religious heritage. The 2011 census estimates that 34.2% of the residents living in Sandwell are from a Black, Asian and minority ethnic background. This is an increase of 12.2% from the 2001 census. Approximately 43.7% of children aged 0 to 5 are also from BAME background, which is substantially greater than the national average. The report proposes that the Sandwell Equalities Commission is established as a catalyst to drive forward the Council's equalities agenda. The Commission will promote equality and challenge discrimination in all its forms and be in place until March 2023. Appendix 1 sets out the vision, mission statements, strategic objections and outcomes of the Commission, as well as the governance arrangements, which is deliberately included. The Council has also devised a Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan, which aims to address inequalities that may exist within its workforce. The primary objective of the action plan is to ensure our employees mirror the citizens and communities they serve. The delivery of the action plan will be overseen by the Equalities Commission. The action plan provides a roadmap to help embed diversity and inclusion across the workforce. It has been developed based on feedback provided by employees across the council, workforce diversity data, and best practice put forward by other public sector organizations. The council has already undertaken a considerable amount of work to be able to launch the Sandwell Equalities Commission and devise the diversity and inclusion action plan, both of which will be key to making a real difference to our region and workforce. The renewed approach outlined in this report to addressing inequalities will ensure the council's ongoing commitment to reducing inequalities underpins everything it does, and it is embedded in its policies, strategies and plans, along with how it will engage with partners and residents across the borough. So I therefore welcome support the committee approving the recommendations in the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Padder. Do we have any questions for Councillor Padder, anyone? Any hands going up, David? I can't see any.
Oh, yes, Councillor Moore.
Councillor Moore, you have a question for Councillor Padder?
I don't have my questions directly for Councillor Padder. I agree with the purpose of the report and what it's trying to achieve. But I have previously raised concerns about the emergency committee being used for items that are actually not relevant to the committee. And I don't, I'm afraid, agree that this report is actually one that this committee should be considering. So I would ask that consideration is given to actually defer the report until the full cabinet meeting next week, where it could be considered in full by scrutiny members, and the papers would obviously be published in 7 days' notice to allow people to look at them.
Okay. We will note that remark, Councillor Moore. However, we bring these reports to the relevant meetings that we feel are appropriate, and this one has been hanging around for some while now, and we were anxious to get this moved forward. So we will put it through the meeting today, but I will bear what your comments say in mind for the future. Thank you very much. And with that, I will now hand over to David to take the vote.
Sorry, okay. Sorry, I'm not sure whether Councillor Moore's got our legacy hands raised.
Sorry, as I said, I'm not really comfortable that it's an issue that should be considered by the emergency committee. I suspect I won't get a seconder for my motion. But, I would like to formally propose that the report is deferred and considered by the cabinet at its meeting on Wednesday, the 18th of October, and that the associated paperwork be published for that meeting today, so it can be added as an addendum.
Okay, well, we can take a vote on that. Have we got a seconder for that? We don't appear to have a seconder for that motion, Councillor Moore. So I think in that case we need to move to vote on the recommendation for approval for the Sandwell Equalities Commission and Diversity and Inclusion Action Plan as put forward today. David?
Okay, Councillor Crompton, for, against or abstain.
For.
Councillor Ali, for, against or abstain. For. Councillor Millard, for, against or abstain.
For.
Councillor Moore, for, against or abstain.
I'll abstain on the basis, as I said, that I don't believe it's relevant for this particular committee to consider.
Councillor Shaheen, for, against or abstain. Thank you, Councillor Shaheen.
Okay, thank you. Almost everyone is in favour, so the report will be approved. I will just say that I think that this is a very important commission that is looking to bring ethnicity, diversity and equalities of both people, all sorts of people, plus equality of, I can't think what the word is. can't think what it is. But anyway, so everyone can be put forward in a fair and appropriate manner. So I think that even should scrutiny come and look at it at this late date, I do not think that there is a problem with anything in this report, and I'm quite happy for it to be approved today. So we will approve the report, and we'll close the meeting. Equality of opportunity, it's come to me now. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Well, I'll close the meeting at that point.